up, guys? Welcome back to Pass the Ball Podcast. I'm Noah Henry here with my co-host Caleb Gomez and a special guest, Caleb Gomez's dad, Coach AJ, who coached me and his son Caleb Gomez in baseball. Today's topic is going to be about coaching. So, Coach AJ, what inspired you to coach your son?
I think I always wanted to have a hand in the decisions that play in the day-to-day routine and aspect of his sport, whatever it was. For him in particular, was baseball. So I felt because I had a baseball background, like playing baseball my whole life in high school and college, that I felt that I can be a good resource to him at an early age. So what inspired me was just that having my firstborn son wanted to play baseball like me, and me knowing the game, I felt like I could be the best teacher for him at a young age. So that was my biggest inspiration, and that's why I started when he was a young age, when he could start to walk and talk and put a bat in his hand, and was able to guide him throughout his baseball journey to where he is now. So that was my biggest inspiration.
And Caleb, how did you feel about your dad becoming your first coach?
It's amazing. It felt great because he was always there for me. He was always my coach, no matter what we did. If it was just playing around, just kidding, he was always there to tell me what to do, and I wouldn't come this far without him coaching me, teaching me how to find my swing and become a
How did you balance being a dad and a coach?
Uh, that's a tough balance. It's probably something that I still haven't figured out. And our time and our journey together is done. But that's a tough question. And anybody who's out there that knows the difference, or has been in my situation and shoes of being a father and a coach, it's a tough balance between the two, um, because there's a very fine line of wanting to be a father on the baseball field when you're supposed to be a coach on the field. And, being a coach at home, you're supposed to be a father at home. So the balance between the two was something that I'll admit I struggled with. It's not easy. Um, I remember, I forgot where I saw this video, but man, I saw a video of a dad who was also a coach that talked about how he separated the two, and he talked about how when the game was over and he got in the car with his kid, he would take his baseball hat off and put it on the dashboard, and that was a sign to the kid that we're not talking sports, we're not talking baseball. I'm back to being a dad. And when he wore the hat, that's his time to be a coach. Um, and that's something that he did. And Deion Sanders and his son Shador, the quarterback from Colorado. I don't know if you know this, but before every game, they walk down the sideline before the game and they talk. And they say that when they get to the end, so as they walk and talk, that's father and son. But when they turn around and hit the end zone and walk back, now it's player and coach. So that's the difference. And I always try to remember that and try to do something with him to know the difference and differentiate the two of being dad and coach. But it's not easy. It takes a strong human being, strong man to actually do that.
Mhm. Were there times when playing where you thought, or practicing where you thought your dad was not, or you wanted a dad and not a coach?
yeah. So there's a couple times where I would I would strike out or ground out, and I would really show my emotions, and the coach him, but he would do the right thing and coaching me and told me not to do that and have another at bat, and like the dad version, he would just talk, he we would go over it, how did why did you roll over, what are some things that you can do about it, and it would change my bat and my mindset going to.
But with that though, it's tough because as a dad and a coach, I want to work. So as a dad, I want to work him through it, right? And be his dad and tell him it's okay. But at the same time, having a baseball background, you have that drive to want to tell him the answer of what he did wrong without having him realize it himself. So I know exactly what he did wrong, right? Whether he's 8 years old or 12 years old, I know what he just did in that at bat and why it played out the way it did. Okay, so when I ask him like, why do you think that happened? I know the answer, and then if he doesn't know the answer, then sometimes it's frustrating because you want him to tell you the right answer, right? So I'm expecting an answer that I don't get, and then that's frustrating because he's wrong, right? So you try and coach him and teach him and also father him, but at the same time you want him to work through it and pick it up himself and understand without giving him the answer, right? So and now at this age where he's at now, I feel like we just went to go hit a couple days ago, and I'm pitching to him, and he's doing something that he knows is wrong, and I'm not saying anything. And he steps out of the box and he takes a deep breath, and I said, "What's the matter?" And he tells me what he's doing, and that's what I think is it attributes to the way that I raised him and coached him throughout the years, the last several years, not giving him the answer and having him work his way through it, right? So now he knows, right? He's only 12. He's going to have a lot of flaws in his swing, right? And he'll give and take, or he'll take and choose what he thinks will work for him. And I want him though to realize what he feels is not natural, or what is wrong. And now he can tell me and say, "I'm doing this," and I'm like, "You're right." But before, a year or 2 years ago, I asked him, and he's like, "I don't know." It's just like, how don't you know? But I have to think he's only 10. He's only 9. He's only 8, right? That's the reason why he doesn't know, because I need to coach him. But I'm also talking to my son, so it's different.
Yeah. So how was coaching your son affecting your relationship with him?
Good question. So that's part of the reason why I felt that now at this age at 12, I mean, we always had the agreement that when All Stars was over at 12 years old, that I would be done coaching him. I feel that 12 years old to 13 is a perfect transition for somebody else to take the reins and for him to follow somebody else's lead and direction. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to not do anything with him. Uh, I still want to be able to work on his craft here at home. We have plenty of space to work on things that we can to make him a better ball player. And then I want to be able to go out and watch him perform, take notes, and then come back to the lab, right? The lab, and work on the craft here. And then have somebody else yell at him, coach him, train him, teach him, love him. Because I felt that since he's been playing since 5, 6, so for the last 6 or 7 years, that I've done everything that I can on the field to make him who he is now. But it's tough because if I continue to coach him, we're going to do a lot more of this and not this, right? We need to be cohesive and we need to be together and stop doing this. And we're at that point where we're doing a lot of this and we need to get back to doing this, right? So now's a good time for me to step back and allow him to flap his wings and fly and breathe. And I mean, I'm very proud of where he's at now. But was never it wasn't an easy relationship as he got older, because he's starting to become his own young man, starting to have his own voice and his own opinion and his own backbone. And when I try and tell him one thing, he has something else to say why he did it that maybe I don't agree with, right? So it frustrates me as a father to hear some type of rebuttal from him when I'm trying to coach him, but at the same time he's telling me what he's doing, or he's giving an explanation, or he's affirming why he did what he did that I don't agree with, type of thing. So it's been a tough relationship, which is why I think now is the perfect time for us to get back to being father and son as opposed to coach and player.
Yeah. Caleb, do you have any way of letting him know that he needs to be a dad and not a coach? So I do. So sometimes, sometimes we'll go in the car and like I had a game yesterday. I'll strike out or I'll do something I make an error. So and he would start talking about it, and I'll just say it's in the past and the tournament's over. Because when this happened, he was my coach, and I was just it's over with, it's done. We're having a new tournament. You don't have to be my coach anymore until next tournament. or when we go out to practice, when we start to hit and stuff. So yeah.
How do you handle when your son struggles or faces adversity in his performance?
How do I handle it? Oh, as a coach on the field, I have 12, 13 other kids to deal with. So when his time to perform is when he's hitting, right? He's always been a very good defensive player. So, and being center field, he's the best out there, like hands down, right?
Mhm.
So I've never like had any issues with him playing defense. His time to perform is offensively, right? And he sits around and waits 30, 40 minutes before he gets his next at bat. So when he gets his bat and then it doesn't happen the way he wants it to, he has a breakdown or he struggles. I have about 10, 15 seconds as he walks off the field, looking at him, seeing how he's acting, right? Crying, upset, angry. Somebody else is already getting in the batter's box. I'm a coach of the team, so I have to now deal with this kid in the batter's box, manage the baseball game. Pay attention to what's going on, pay attention to base runners. Is their lead too big? Are they going to get picked off? But my attention is in the dugout because I'm watching him and his reaction, right? So it's tough. It's I would hope and I hope that he doesn't act when he doesn't have these outbursts sometimes, but he does, and when he does, that's what draws my attention to him. I've been fortunate enough to have his mom, my wife, right there to where she can come because she sees it. So she comes and kind of deals with it and calms him down and talks to them as it's going on. And then at the first break that I can get, when the inning's over or there's a timeout or something, I can go and try and help him work through the problem. But a lot of times, that's the worst time to talk to him because he hasn't calmed down yet. He hasn't let it sink in that it's okay, right? He's still upset with what happened, the result that he got, the individual result that he got, right?
Mhm.
Not the team aspect, but I did bad. So we're trying to deal with that and basically tell him that it's going to be okay, but he doesn't get it right away. So it
Mhm.
takes longer than 5, 10, 20 seconds. And before you know it, the game's back on and I'm back coaching again. So it's tough, right? It's tough to manage that and deal with that when it's happening. That's something that he's been struggling with, that he tries to deal with. And, he's doing a better job of it. Both the guys are doing a better job of it, which is why we're doing this. But, it's tough. It's not easy.
Do you lean on your dad when you have struggles on the field?
Oh yeah. So I'll go like I'll remember. So in Williamsport, we were playing Hawaii, and I was in center, of course. And the leadoff batter, he hit a single.
It was raining.
Yeah,
It was raining, so the field was wet.
and the kid hit a single, take almost in the gap, and I come to like scoop it out, and get it, but the ball like skips out, and it went by me. So instead of a single, he turned it into a double, and then after the inning, like when we start to huddle and have our talk, after our huddle, like he comes and he says like, "Hey, it's okay. Next time, just like try to get a little bit more around it and body it up, and it's all right. It's only the first inning. You have 5 more innings left, and all right."
Moving into this year, you will be coaching Caleb. What are you looking? What are you both looking forward to?
Uh, I'm looking forward to going back to being a spectator and actually watching him perform. Uh, he's put in a lot of work. He's one of the hardest working kids out here in the valley. Um, I feel that together we've accomplished a lot over the last several years. 4-time state championship, went to Williamsport this year. I've done. I feel like the weight has been lifted. I was telling his mom that I can already feel it. The day after we got eliminated from Williamsport, I I could feel the weight being lifted and going back to being a father, a spectator, and not having to deal with being the coach. Like I said, this right.
Yeah.
I want to do this more with my son, and um, that's probably the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to is being able to enjoy a game and not criticize and just have him play a game. And if he goes over 4 with 4 strikeouts and 3 errors, rather than having a post game speech with the team of kids and calling everybody out on what they did wrong, what they did good, how we can improve, and looking at him and saying, well, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. Just saying, not having those conversations anymore, and being able to have a father and son, like, it's going to be okay. Like, let's get back in the lab. You were pulling off. You were late. You did this. You did that. Let's go back and work on it, and let's go back tomorrow, and let's see what happens. That's what I'm looking forward to, is going back to being that father and not the critical coach.
So for me, it's just like doing what I do, just play the game. With my dad coaching me or not, and like having my own mindset, and like if I'm making errors, like okay, like whatever, just forget about it, and just moving on from it. Yeah.
Listen, man, we had a good run, right? We had a great run, and when it was all over in Williamsport, right? What did we do?
Play catch.
Right. So that was big. We played catch one last time on the field and called it a wrap. And that's it.
Yep. Thank you guys both. I'm Noah Henry, and that's all.
Lake Mary is a strike away from doing that. That ball, though, to left, it's going to get down. And Nevada stays alive as Caleb Gomez keeps it going with a single. His second hit of the night brings up the tying run.